Good morning, everybody. My name is Tim Ayler, meteorologist. Hope you're doing well this morning. We start off March 1st with a relatively quiet pattern with the exception of some snow moving through the northeast this morning, some rain showers out west here in the higher terrain and parts of the northern plains and the Midwest here, maybe some showers along the spine of Appalachians here. All right, and welcome to my channel. And what we're going to talk about today is the short range forecast, long range forecast, talk about excessive rainfall, severe weather threat, and go over the short range forecast and long range forecast for middle Georgia as well. Like I said, I appreciate y'all watching. Like my video if you like it, subscribe, share with your friends, and let's get started with the current hazards here. As far as current hazards go, most of the hazards we see here are in the southern tier, the central U.S., with some wind advisories out west here, parts of California, Arizona, New Mexico. Fire weather watch with high winds possible here and low humidities. One of our weather advisories for a system is going to move through the central U.S. And we have snow advisories, different kind of special weather statements associated with that. Up into northern Maine, cold weather advisory, which expires tomorrow. We got a cold air pushing through to the northeast here. And if we show the temperatures, bring that up real quick. You see the cold air bottled up to the north here, -20, negative teens, as this system moves through, right? And just to the south of it here, we got warm temps. It's not -36, trust me, here along the coast. Dense fog advisories here. All along the southeast coast, generally from the Florida coastline down to the Gulf Coast, up into North and South Carolina here, and along the Delaware, Virginia coastline as well. Sorry I could clear my throat, guys. I don't know. It's getting to be allergy season here. So generally, there's a big bifurcation here of the temperatures, right, between the north and the south. So, and that's going to change in the coming days, but for the next couple of days, it's going to be cold and then warm up quite a bit for most of the nation. You see warm air down here to the south already in the 70s, so quite warm down here. So, what are the temperatures and highs and lows going to be during the next week for Georgia? Well, generally highs in the 70s and 60s, a little bit of cool down the first part of the week with cold air damming kind of bringing some northeast flow down in here and cooling things off in general, but then again warming up into the 70s and 80s at the end of the week. So it'll be dry for most of the week with maybe some scattered showers and storms returning on Thursday and Friday. And this is the 6 to 10 day temperature outlook for north and central Georgia from the Climate Prediction Center, showing above normal temps, a good, pretty high certainty here of above normal temps, right? Generally east of the Rockies. So you can take this to the bank that we're going to be above normal during this period, okay? After that, it's less certain, but yeah, high temperatures likely be in the 70s and 80s, and low temperatures to be in the 50s and 60s, and maybe near record temperatures here. As far as the 3 to 7 day hazards here, we got heavy rain potential, the 4th through the 6th, and the 3rd here, and we talked about that in the excessive rainfall outlook as well. The chance of heavy precip here, maybe some freezing rain, sleet on the 3rd, which is Tuesday in this area. Hazards cold in the southern Alaska, as well as heavy snow the 3rd, the 4th, and the 3rd here as well. So when you look at severe weather chances, next couple of days, not a lot going on with the exception of general thunderstorms out west here, parts of the central U.S. and parts of southern Florida. Tomorrow, the thunderstorm threat moves a little further to the east here, Utah, Nevada, Idaho, Wyoming, and Colorado. Parts of Oklahoma, Missouri, and Kansas here, in southern Nebraska and a sliver of Iowa here. Still down here in southern Florida. Day 3, it moves a little further eastward here. Excuse me. General thunderstorms, Oklahoma, Texas, Missouri, Kansas, Iowa, Nebraska, Illinois, and parts of Indiana, and still southern Florida here. Now, going to day 4 here. Excuse me. Jeez. My allergies, sorry. So this is Wednesday, right? Day 4, like I was saying. I had to stop the video for a second to clear my throat here. But generally from central Texas up into southeastern Oklahoma and parts of western Arkansas here under a slight risk of severe weather. A general category here. We won't have any more specifics until we get closer within the 2-day range. So going to day 5, day after, we don't have anything on the map here, although I'll be surprised to see a marginal risk as we get closer here. Day 6, which is Friday, we have a wide 15%, well, more like a long 15% risk here from central Texas, Oklahoma, Missouri, and Kansas here. With nothing else on the books through day 7 and day 8, at least right now. As we get closer, we may have some other probabilities put in here, but that's a lot to start with anyway. So what's that tell us? It's going to be very active in the coming days for severe weather, excessive rainfall, just in general, going to be very active pattern setting up here next week and the week after. As we transition into a more active pattern here in the middle of next week and beyond, we got a lot of chances of excessive rainfall here starting on Tuesday, right? In parts of Illinois, Missouri here, and Indiana, right? And we go to further out, day 4, which is Wednesday. We have marginal risk here in parts of Texas, near Dallas, parts of Arkansas, parts of western Oklahoma, a good portion of Missouri, maybe half of it, and southern Illinois, southern Indiana, and southwest Ohio as well, extending all the way up to Columbus. And then we have a wider area again here, all the way from central Texas all the way up to western Pennsylvania. So quite a wide swath of marginal risk 5 days out here, which says a lot for the probabilities, even though it's marginal at this point. The forecast will likely be refined as the days go on, but this is the forecast right now. So as we begin the short term with the current radar analysis from the RFS Rufus A, the snow pushes through the East Coast out of here by like noontime. We got another system right on the heels of this, getting some overrunning moisture here with freezing rain, snow, and some sleet here into the north with some rainfall on the southern side of it. And as we get towards the to Tuesday, get some overrunning moisture here, some snow maybe in the DC area, Appalachians, freezing rain and sleet. The warm air pushes to the north eventually, and you get some snow at the onset, and eventually turns to rain. You see a wide swath of rainfall here all the way out west, and on the west coast you have some rainfall as well and higher terrain snow. And that system moves out to the east, and then you have that system moving through the west here. Well, not the west, the central U.S. Heavy rain potential up here in the Chicago, Detroit area. Maybe some sleet and freezing rain here in the colder areas, but overall not a lot of frozen precip. Out west, unsettled weather and higher terrain snow and lower terrain rain as well. So getting into this active pattern starting up the beginning of next week, and transitioning to a much warmer regime for at least a week, if not longer. So as far as temperatures go, you can see where the boundary is up here to the north. Temperatures generally in below freezing here, but you see the warm air is really pushing up here. You have a CAD wedge pushing to the south here. This is into Tuesday, right? And then these warm temps really start to build. That's the end of the run, right? So let's see where I stop it here. You see where the CAD wedge is here, the colder air in place to the north. Warm temps pushing all the way up to the north here, right? And near 100 degrees here in parts of the higher terrain of Texas and southern Texas as well, 80s, 70s, 80s here with this wedge in place, right? Okay, so that's going to erode, and I'll show you this here real quick. I kind of went through it pretty quickly here a second ago. So kind of raw. Next couple of days down here in the southeast, you see that boundary here. Okay, cold air bottled up north here. You see that erodes, and then we start getting very warm temperatures here, pushing to the north into Wednesday afternoon. With that first low pressure system moving through in the deep south here, with severe weather and heavy rainfall potential building in this area here. Uh, so we got a lot of to talk about, but this is the short range, and the biggest impacts will be warming temperatures here in the longer term. The short term, cold air pushing to the one more cold air push to the north here, and that'll be pushed pretty far north in the longer term here. So we get into days 8 to 14, which is the March 8th through the 14th, coincidentally enough. High risk of heavy precip here, which is rain, 8th and the 9th, 8th and the 10th, and 8th through 11th in a broader area here, okay? So we know pretty much next week is going to be very busy when it comes to rainfall, okay? Snowfall, we got a risk of heavy snow the 8th through the 10th and near Mount West here. Other than that, nothing on the map. Slight risk of high winds here, the 8th through the 12th out west, and the 8th through the 11th in the east here. All right, so boundaries. And the 8th through the 11th in parts of Alaska. Only slight risk here of hazardous temperatures, the 8th and the 9th. So no hazardous temperatures expected except for in Alaska here during the 8 to the 14-day period. So as we get towards next week, temperatures are near normal to above in the continental U.S. and a little further out, above to near normal to above on the eastern seaboard. So at least through the 14th, they're predicting above normal temps generally east of the Rockies to near normal at some points. The northern tier of the U.S. just east of the Rockies, but overall near normal to above in the whole lower 48 here. Below in Alaska here, both times even more confidence in the shorter term, and above in Hawaii here as well during these time frames. As we look at precip here during the 6 to 14-day period, the 6 to 10-day period here, initially 6 to the 10th, you see the highest amounts in the Mississippi Valley to the Midwest. Shifts a little bit further to the east here. Generally, the points east of the Rockies, with the exception of maybe Florida and the southeast coast, but out west, below to near normal here. All right, and also Alaska, Hawaii have these different chances here. All right. Sorry, went to the wrong slide there. But out west, we're looking at below to near normal during the period, both periods here, with a shift further to the east with heavier precip as we get towards the 14-day period, right? So in general, unsettled weather, like we've been talking about, and the Mississippi Valley into the south, the deep south, and parts of the Midwest here. So we're getting into the longer range here, to mid to longer range. We're starting on Wednesday with the GFS. So this is where our severe weather threat is, generally in this area, in parts of Oklahoma, Arkansas, right, Missouri, right, and so you see the overrunning precip to the north here as well, but warm temperatures pushing pretty far north, okay? Then we have this moisture out west here. The system moves to the north and the flow. We have another system moving through the flow here, a little further to the north, low pressure here. Another clipper type system up to the north here, okay? But it doesn't go through the flow like it's been. It's more like going over top, right? Because the ridge is here. So that's the way the systems are going, right? Another band of showers and storms as we get into March 7th, okay? So March 7th is 6 days from now, so that's next weekend, this coming weekend, right? And maybe a cold front trying to push to the east, but never really makes it. Okay. And you have this mid-level feature that is hanging out west here, and we get into next week. Becomes more uncertain, but looks like less unsettled than it has been. With this mid-level feature hanging out here, the disturbance is moving through the northerly flow here, right? So maybe as we get towards the middle of next week, we have some more enhanced moisture here, and looks to me like, at least in this model run, a GFS wants to bring some cold air back to the northeast. What a surprise, right? Extended, and we have more of a northerly flow, but still high pressure is in control here in the south. Okay, so when we look at the European, let's go back to this European Wednesday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Looks pretty much the same as the GFS system moving through the flow to the north here. Maybe another system. This is that system moving up here as well. Moving to the north. Band of heavy precip on Saturday here, right? March 7th, which is 6 days from now. Okay. Not a lot going on the west coast here. That system pushes to the east and kind of washes out right there, right? Some unsettled weather in the south here, and more unsettled weather along the boundary here, according to the European model, right? It also wants to bring cold air down here east of the Rockies, with bringing another low pressure here. And it looks like to me like that Baja low that the GFS was depicting, it starts to swing eastward here, at least according to the European. Okay. So let's stop this. We can look at the 500 millibar heights and see what that looks like. So you have your high pressure at 500 millibars out west here, another one to the east here, which is keeping the temperatures very warm here, troughing in the east, the central U.S., and this cutoff low. You see how it cuts off here and swings to the southwest, and mean trough moves to the east here, right? It's kind of on an island here. The European keeps it there for quite a few days, but then it wants to dig another trough here in the central U.S. with the heights, 500 millibar heights moving further to the east here. You have a broad southwesterly flow ahead of this trough. It wants to pick this up finally and maybe swing it through here. Maybe bring a shot of colder air further to the east, right? And to the south. So if you compare this to the GFS, quite a different scenario here. Where's that low, right? Here's your low, a broader trough. That low swings through. Interesting the way this plays out. Let's go to 6Z. See, with the 6Z run, it's totally different, right? Swing the trough through. This mid-level feature doesn't go anywhere. All right, and so makes me wonder if that's an anomaly or what there. So let's go back. This is Wednesday. Let's go back to Wednesday. It's Tuesday, Wednesday. We got our trough moving through the east here, right? And we have this other one digging, right? This is what we're talking about. Cuts it off from the flow, which both the GFS and European does, but this keeps it out to the west. Okay, so going back to the European again, I know I keep bouncing back and forth, but I'm trying to show you all this here, see what it does with it. Let's look at the AI here and see what it does. I don't have, okay, there we go. So we don't have the entirety of the run here, but it's loading, right? A little less, I don't know what's going on here, but like got a mid-level trough move through here. This other one diving down. Splits it off from the flow. That's where this ends. Let's go back to 0Z. I don't know why 0Z isn't working. Go back to 18Z here. The AI wants to kind of swing this to the European AI wants to swing it to the east. So what our temperature is going to look like we get into Wednesday, right? You see the hottest temperatures are down south here and to the north, but you see this warm push of air, just a lot of warm air pushing to the north, repeated rounds of southerly flow, bringing warm temps all the way up to the central U.S. here, even the northern U.S. possibly. Cold air bottled up north here. I can zoom in a little bit, get a better feel for the temperatures here. 80s far to the south, 50s, maybe 60s in some areas here. Now, with the national winter models showing maybe some cold air pushing to the east here, finally, but you see the warm temps persist here with maybe a final cold push. This is 2 a.m., right? So, see the cold air starting to push down from the northwest here, but overall above normal for a good portion of the continental U.S. for the extended. As far as heavy rainfall to start with, we get some rainfall and snow in the central, west central U.S., in the northwest, and here into the central U.S. as well, and along the east coast. Wednesday, highest precip totals bullseye here in Missouri and parts of Illinois as well, and points east, a couple inches of rainfall here total. And out west here, okay, if we go a little bit further on, rainfall totals are really on the increase after this. 4 or 5 inches of rain total with this event. Well, through the whole period, right? 7, potentially more inches of rain here, at least according to the national blended models. All right. So, and of course, in the higher terrain out west here, we got some higher totals as well. But the big focus here is in the Mississippi Valley, Ohio Valley, and up into the Midwest as well. So, if we're looking at snow through the period, right, we start the beginning here. High snow totals will be in the Northeast, parts of the upper Midwest, out west here, and in the central and Mississippi Valley, Ohio Valley, and points eastward here. Okay, higher terrain in the Appalachians. And we get some more snow up here in the higher terrain, again, out west. And maybe as we get further down, we have a boundary setting up, maybe some snow here on the back side of this boundary. But overall, the high snowfall totals look to be generally east of the west of the Rockies here, and up to north into Canada where the boundary sets up. As far as ice goes, let's start off with this. We have some ice on the northern side of this system that's moving through Sunday night into Monday, and then it moves to the north here. Appalachians, see if we get some totals here. It doesn't look like it's going to show up on the map. But overall, you can see where the highest totals are going to be, right? If we go through time with this, not a lot of ice with this, but then we get further out. I mean, we get some accumulating ice up into Canada, and then we get further into the period with maybe some colder air, some ice accumulation up here into the Midwest. If we get even further out here, this is the 14th through the 27th. This was issued February 27th, which was 2 days ago. Week to 3 to 4 temperature outlook here. Below normal still predicted in Alaska. Most of the U.S. either equal or above chances. Well, you have equal chances above and below temperatures in the white, the red and orange, more certainty depending on if it's in the red, right? Orange is less certainty here, or the darker orange, excuse me. Northwest U.S. maybe below. Alaska, right? We talked about that, above, and Hawaii, right? And so we move into the temperature, the precip, excuse me, Getting ahead of myself here. Looks like we still have a very active pattern continuing here in the Mississippi Valley up into the northern tier of the U.S. with equal chances in the white here and below in the southeast coast and the Florida, equal to below to above, depending where you're at in Alaska, above in Hawaii. So that's it for the precip for the 3 to 4 week outlook. Well, if we get even further out, the monthly temperature outlook is looking pretty grim if you like cold weather. So either for most of the U.S., looking to be above normal. All right. Uh, with less certainty further to the north here in Alaska, if it stays below normal, chances are this will turn out the way this shows. Right. So we'll keep an eye on that. All right. As far as precip, you see for the month of March, where the bullseye is here, pretty good confidence of above normal precip in the Mississippi Valley, Ohio Valley here. Equal chances in the white on the western, southern, and eastern edge of this, below out west and below the Florida Peninsula, parts of the southeast, equal to below to above in Alaska here. Well, guys, that's it for my videos for today. Tomorrow I'm going to focus on a little more on the severe weather threat and the flooding threat. Once we have a little bit, when we get into the short range of the models, but the general theme is cool down for the northeast and the upper Midwest and the northern high plains in the short term, and we CAD wedge building in. But the long term is a very steep warm up here for a good portion of the eastern U.S., east of the Rockies, even west of the Rockies. Not going to be um, terribly cold, although near or slightly above normal out west. And like I said, severe weather and flooding will be on the table next week, and I'm sure we'll have a lot to talk about as we go into that period. So, hope you have a good Sunday, and God bless.